It's Tuesday, November 2nd. Coming up live on The View. They're casting their votes in Hot Topics. From which co-host was up in arms at the polls this morning?
You did unbelievable.
To Kelly and Bristol's love fest on last night's Dancing with the Stars. And why Demi Lovato says bullying landed her in rehab. Plus, it's Election Day on the Red, White, and View. And Good Morning America's George Stephanopoulos has an up-to-the-minute eye on polls from coast to coast. Plus, revealing what Republican victories today mean for President Obama's future. And if Tea Partiers will be crashing the voting booths to change history. And KaDee Strickland has some hilarious behind-the-scenes stories about Sherry and Whoopi. And she's giving you a sneak peek at this week's shocking private practice. All that, Hot Topics, and more, coming up live on The View.
To The View, baby. Today is Election Day. Thank goodness. Have you guys hit the polls yet?
Oh, yeah. I did. I voted this morning.
After work.
Very short line.
Really short?
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty short.
I'm going to take Jeffrey with me. I hope it's not a long line because I want to take him to
They
vote.
changed the whole system in New York. Used to just do the thing.
Right.
No more. You have to now fill in the little circles.
Yeah.
But also today, I could have pretty much voted for you, Joy, because I walked in and you don't have to show any sort of ID to vote, which I think is quite strange, to be perfectly honest, because you can name somebody else's name, go in, maybe come back, vote again.
That's not true.
No,
Honestly, I looked
You know what?
at the thing. What else? You need an ID. I need an ID to get a beer. I need an ID to rent a movie. I need an ID to go to the gym, but I don't need an ID to vote.
To register, Elizabeth, you do need ID.
What happens is that they've got if you've registered, they have a page with your name, and you sign, and they match your handwriting.
She didn't match
and
anything. There was no matching
but let me
going
just
on.
say something else about that, and I don't know whether it's this way in other cities, but it is in New York, that most of the people who are checking you in are volunteers. Some of them are elderly. Some of them have a little trouble with it. But God bless them for being there and volunteering.
I'm not complaining about the person. I'm complaining about the system.
Okay, no,
There's a difference.
The system usually works. So maybe...
Actually,
Can I say
So maybe one person missed signing. Ordinarily, when you go in to vote, I think it happened with all of us, there is your name on a page, and you sign.
Yeah,
so they know it's the same
Grace
person.
can sign my name.
Well, but that's not true. But Barbara, can I
It's
say...
an honor system that is to be sometimes taken
When you
advantage of.
register to vote, there's a lot of states that require you to have photo ID. There's about 9 states. There's a bunch of states that require no photo ID, but you do have to show ID. When you register to vote in New York, you have to show ID when you register.
No,
but what I'm saying is by the time you register, they have your name on the list and they have to check it. Now, research shows that mostly they particularly ask African Americans and Hispanics to show ID. When I had to register, when I had to vote last year, they asked me to show ID.
I think they should ask everyone
to show. They didn't ask you. They asked me.
I think they should have everyone show ID. If you have to show ID to get into a movie,
when you register,
ID to vote in this country.
when you register to vote, you have the process to register, and by the time they put your name on that list, you have shown ID to register to vote.
I hear you. I think you should show ID.
I showed ID.
Before you were able to submit.
They showed me.
But don't get so mad.
Show an ID.
I did. I had to show. And they told me that when I vote today, I have to show ID.
When you voted last year, 2 years ago, I'm sorry, did they ask you for ID then? Do you remember?
It didn't tick me off, so maybe they did. But this time they did not. They don't ask for ID. I'm telling you.
They told me that day when I called to go in. They said you got to bring a utility bill. This is what they told me. You have to bring a utility. Yes, I have to bring a utility bill.
Why do you think that is?
And my ID. Maybe I sounded black. I don't know.
So is it? Wait a minute.
I'm joking.
I think we're saying. I actually think we're saying. No, I think it might be.
I was joking.
I think we're actually saying the same thing. Get everybody to show ID. Don't just ask Sherry for her ID. Don't not ask me for ID.
Maybe it's because is this the first time you're voting from that address?
I voted last year.
From a different address?
But at the address that I was at last year, I had to show ID.
Was that the first time you voted
on that address? And now I'm at a new address,
address?
and I have to show ID. But 2 years in a row.
No, but
excuse me.
But you're in a different address.
Yeah, but last year wasn't at a different.
Okay, had you voted before at that address? Wait a minute.
So boiled down.
Wait a second. This is the crucial point.
I had not voted.
So make the point so we can hear it.
The point is that the first time that you vote, you have to show. It has nothing to do with
You should show it every time you vote.
Okay, we got it. We got it. I just want to thank again the people who are there coping with this all day long.
But
without anger. I give them credit and I'd like to thank them.
I do too.
There are some things that you do not have to show ID about. One of them is Dancing with the Damn Stars. Okay? They celebrated their show number 200 last night with some blasts from the past. Elizabeth, how'd it go?
As I sat there with my driver's license to watch Dancing with the Stars, Bristol Palin actually was pretty great. I think that she really was shaking it all, and it was so great to see her. Here she is dancing her. They did this rendition where they had to reinvent.
We've complimented her every week.
Well, I think because, but listen, we're not the only ones complimenting her. Take a look at this. This is Kelly Osbourne, whose dance she reinvented.
With Bristol, she's got so much heart, and that's what I'm looking for, honesty and heart, and just going out there and doing her best. She's the only one that is not a performer on this show. She's come, and she is working her butt off, and I have so much respect for her.
It is. Kelly, what a makeover. I know. Now she's a light blonde.
Well, that's
is
what
that
Tom
the same
said
Kelly Osbourne
when she came out, I think Tom said something like, "It's a shame how you've let yourself go."
She did.
Because she's very thin and quite
They were great.
lovely.
Yeah, I love Bristol because, you know, this is what it's about. Like Kelly said, she's not a performer. She's not an athlete, so she's not coming with those two things, and each week she's improving. They had a competition that they did.
Perfect.
Yeah, it does, but you know, I love the competition that they did. I thought it was a great show.
I thought it was a fun show too. 200th episode.
Okay. Now, you know,
we'll see who goes home today.
Odd sort of news. Demi Lovato, who you may know, she's a Disney star. We've had her on the show several times before. She is in rehab for what her publicist is calling emotional and physical issues. Now, reports claim she's suffering with anorexia and that she's been cutting herself, in part as a result of being bullied, something she talked about the last time she was here. Take a look.
For a while there, I had no idea why, because, you know, people would say, oh, they're just jealous girls. And, you know, you don't like to hear that. You want to know a reason. So you just kept pinning it on yourself. And I wasn't going to be the girl that's like, oh, they were just jealous of me. I remember looking back and asking the girls, why are you doing this to me? And they didn't have a reason. Something needs to be done because some people don't have any outlets. And fortunately, my outlet was music.
There really is no reason. Bullies just bully you because they want to, or they have some reason that they're unhappy, or someone bullied them, probably. So there is no reason.
This child is 18 years old, and I give her great credit to go into rehab, because it's not just the bullying. She obviously has other issues.
Well, the rehab is not for the bullying, right?
No, but what she says, she's been cutting herself. She has an eating disorder.
She's had a big breakup with a Jonas brother. She's a teenage girl.
But could I finish?
Sure.
Thank you. But what I wonder, you see your earrings falling off because you're interrupting me.
Sorry, it's contagious at this table today.
What I was saying?
Go back and vote again. What I was saying was that I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry. She's a teenage girl.
I know what I was saying. Yeah, I know. And I was going to say, like for you or for Gracie, what do you say to your children when they have an idol who's 16, 17, 18 and checks into rehab? When they say, "Mommy, what's wrong?" What do you say?
Well, I mean, thankfully I don't have that situation right now, because
you might,
her idols are all cartoon characters at this point. But I think when you're in that situation, a lot of our friends are
sluts, okay?
They're not. Dora is not. Dora the Explorer is perfectly fine.
With my question?
Yes, I think that you're in a predicament, and I think I was talking to one of our producers here who has a child, and a couple of other my friends who really, it's Miley, Selena, and Debbie who are like the trifecta. You know, these are the girls they really look to. So I think when one of them's in trouble, you're kind of in trouble. You're in a situation where you're talking to your kid, and I don't know what you say. I don't know how you broach the topic.
I have a suggestion for you, because it always happens when little kids have idols and something goes wrong. And basically, you have to say to them, you know what? I don't know what really happened. I don't know. But, you know, let's hope that everything turns out better for them, because you don't actually know. You don't really have an answer for them, and to just admit that you don't have the answer, and it's okay.
Grown-ups don't even know the answer to why a young girl would start cutting herself.
Well,
I mean, that is a pathological response
but I also
to some
think
kind of stress.
Demi Lovato, in addition to, I would put this out, in addition to bullying, she's been a superstar with these kids for a long time. And that, you know, she's a teenager, and with her dating Joe Jonas, he did break up with her. Now he's with the girl from Twilight. She's on tour with them a lot. You know, a lot of that, you're going through angst, you're going through heartbreak, a lot of pain.
Could I just add to what maybe you can tell your children? Because my daughter, you know, for years ran a wilderness program for adolescent girls in crisis, and a lot of them did. You know, this is a cry for this is a cry. But if you can say to a child, almost at any age, you know, almost at any age we have problems. When you get older, the problems are bigger, and if they are bigger, you need help. And you know, this is her way of saying I need help, and it may happen. You know, not to you, but to friends. I think you can tell them.
Because Demi's publicist just called us and wants to make absolutely clear she's not in rehab. She's in a treatment center, something that is very, very different than a rehabilitation. She's not on drugs. She's in a treatment center where she can get some help for the issues that are
rehab is not necessarily just for drugs. I mean, rehab is also treatment.
Yes. This is not what she's in. She's in a treatment center, not a rehab.
Probably therapy.
A treatment, yeah, much more. It's more focused on that than the getting you over drugs.
One more thing to add to the children conversation, I would say that you should really encourage your children to talk to you and tell you how they feel. If they're unhappy, tell it nip it in the bud before it gets bigger than
you know what I'm saying so much.
That's what
We're talking to Jeffrey.
But even little kids, you can say, you know, if there's a time when you're in trouble, there are people talk to me, but at another stage you may need help from someone. You can explain.
But I'm talking to Jeffrey so much, and I might find myself whenever he goes, Mommy, why? Or Mommy, why? And I go, Jeffrey, I don't know. He's looking at me like, what do you know? It's so funny. You feel like,
Google it. He has to, you know, he has to understand, like all little kids have to understand that Mommy or Daddy does not know everything. See, we were raised thinking that our parents knew everything. Father knows best. But in fact, there are going to be times when the answer is, I don't know, but let's hope something better will come from this.
What about the line that goes, because I said so? Do we still do that?
I don't think so.
It doesn't work for me.
On occasion it works, depending on how you say it. If you have that little thing, that Elvis sneer, because I said so.
We say obey first.
Obey first and ask questions later.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, before we go to break, we want to tip our hats to the San Francisco Giants, baby, because they won the World Series last night. They have not done this.
Wow.
They have not done this since 1954, the year before I was born. That was the last time the Giants won the series, so congratulations. That's right. And, you know, we'll be back with more Hot Topics. And don't forget, George Stephanopoulos is coming up, too. So come on back to us. Talking about what do you tell your kids, we have another sort of similar question, which is, you know, Kelsey Grammer's wife, his ex-wife actually, Camille, says that their 9- and 6-year-old children don't realize Kelsey's not coming back to the house because they're getting a divorce, and doesn't know how to explain to them that Kelsey's got a new girlfriend.
Also who's pregnant.
You know. Who's also pregnant.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have a new sister, that's a brother, and when they spend a weekend with...
Let her know.
When they spend a weekend with Daddy and the new girlfriend, they'll come back and tell you, basically.
Right.
I mean, you know, that's what they find out.
I just was told that she miscarried. I was not up to date.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
That's sad, but she was pregnant.
It's always a sad thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's also age appropriate as well. Sometimes if they're not asking, you don't have to say anything quite yet. But
do you say friend?
You know, I think. Why can't you say?
You say Daddy.
I think it's also.
You say Daddy is in love with someone new. It has nothing to do. Wait a minute. It has nothing to do with you. He still loves you. He doesn't love Mama.
Here's what I say. Why are you telling the kid? I would say, why are you telling them? Does it benefit them to hear that, or is it?
No, they know.
Or
hear it.
Or are you telling to justify what's going on? I think you have to consider the reason why you're explaining to the kid how much you're telling them.
Kids
like I say to my child.
Excuse me. You're explaining to the kids because it's been in every paper, and somebody, little kid in school says, I hear that...
But they may not be reading it. That's why I said it's age appropriate, because I know I say...
I'm just saying everybody else.
Because Jeffrey asked me, he says, are you and Daddy going to get married? And I say, Daddy and I are very good friends, Jeffrey. We both love you. Now, he's not saying, well, does he love somebody else? And do you love somebody?
Here's also an interesting point to this. Do you tell them in private, or do you tell them on your reality show?
Well, you know, if it's your reality show and you're contracted to tell all your business, you got to do it.
She is on something called The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll tell them privately. I mean, she's not a bad person.
I mean, I think even if you have a reality show, you're still going through the emotional aspect of going through a divorce, having to tell your kids. Now it's all played out in a reality show.
I think you just have to, I would think protecting them in terms of who they're, if they think you're in love with somebody, kids will by default pretty much try to love that person as well. And I think you better be sure you're in that relationship pretty deep.
I just feel that reality is your friend, no matter what the situation. And children know it anyway. So you might as well tell them the truth.
Yeah, it's just about how much truth. Like my son Isaiah, okay, he wants a burger. I can't give him a burger because he doesn't have teeth, so I give him mashed up burger. Give him the amount that they can digest at the appropriate age.
What they can handle at their age.
If a child goes to see daddy or mommy, and there's another person, another woman, or another man, they know there's something, and I agree with Joy.
All three.
You have to say as simply as you can, you know, daddy and mommy do not want to live together anymore. And there may be new relationships. It has nothing to do with how much we love you. I know it hurts. I know you feel bad. And I know it's hard to see somebody else. It may be hard for me, Mommy, or it may be hard for me, Daddy, but it has nothing to do with how either one of us feel about you. I don't know how else to
the problem arises when there's a tremendous amount of acrimony between the people who are splitting up. When Daddy does have a new girlfriend and he has rejected you and the family in a certain kind of bizarre way, then there's rage, and then it's hard to talk.
To say that we're all friends and
we love each other still, we're friends, baloney.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Then the truth is not.
But if you can try to keep the kids.
Here's a new thing that we've discovered also. A new study found that when social factors are considered, alcohol is deadlier than heroin, crack, crystal meth, and far more dangerous than drugs like marijuana or ecstasy. And this is a bit of a surprise to people, because we've always heard that, you know, this leads to this and it's, you know, easier to get off. It's clearly not.
Well, that makes me question the legalization of something like marijuana, because for a while, alcohol was prohibited. So now that it is the availability of that's what I'm saying, the availability of alcohol.
It's a confusing report in a way, because heroin, crack cocaine, and crystal meth were the most lethal to individuals. It caused the most individual death, more than alcohol. Maybe over the long term, you know, too much alcohol. Yeah, I mean, it is the most lethal. But what it says, considering their wider social effects, how does it affect the family, drunk driving, etc. So, but in terms of deaths, it's still the drugs that are
with
most
heroin,
lethal.
and I asked, with heroin and all the other stuff that you just named, the access to get it is not as widespread as alcohol. You can go into a liquor store and get alcohol.
Because it's legal.
You can drive. You can drive after having a few drinks. You can't drive after doing some heroin, because you know you're going to go to jail.
Well, you're not. Listen, you're not getting in the car. Once you shoot up, you're not moving.
Right. But I'm saying, is the study a little
skewed? Be careful in saying, it's super safe, shoot up, and you're just going to be safely in your home.
Well,
I think there's still
this is the truth, though. Junkies, you know, are only moving around when they're trying to find another fix. They're only trying to hurt you.
What if they have family? What if they have kids? What if they've got small people they're in charge of?
When you're a drug addict, it doesn't matter. Your family and your children, that has nothing to do with the reality.
And there's neglect that comes into effect. I think the effects are bad all the way across.
Yes, you're
I just want to be careful that we're not saying it's safe and
it's okay.
Fine.
It's better to go do heroin than alcohol.
I don't want to.
You know what? No one is saying that it's better. We are simply saying that this study says that given all of the social aspects, that it is alcohol is more dangerous than anything. Because it is legal, people can go and get it and do stuff with it, and no one says boo. Now,
when it was illegal, they still did it, and it contributed to crime. So and that's one of the major reasons that people say you should legalize it, because it would leave out the criminal part of it.
Now we're seeing that it's more lethal. That's what I'm saying. With the legalization of marijuana, might we have the same thing going on?
No, because if you legalize marijuana, I believe you're going to get rid of a whole echelon of people who deal weed. Okay, all these folks are just. Well, this I think is what is going to end up happening. You're going to have to go to the store. You're going to have to show ID to make sure that you're 18 and able to get. I mean, I think that suddenly now all these things that are not in place right now will get into place, and we'll see a shift in the way people do stuff. But you know what? Who knows? I don't know anything about weed.
Like I said, I'm getting a contact high just sitting next to her.
We'll be right back with even more hot topics. ESPN's Hannah Storm is under fire again for a blue dress she wore at the Heat-Celtics game last Tuesday. Last February, ESPN colleague Tony Kornheiser was so fired up over her wardrobe choice, it got him suspended. Is it okay that she wears outfits like this? And I know you spoke to her, Elizabeth, so...
I did. You know, I think, first of all, Hannah Storm, I think, is a woman who, in the field of sports broadcasting, is a total pioneer. I mean, she was the first woman to give play-by-play for the WNBA, first female to sit on a sports package show as the host. And I think that that's incredible, that what she does. And when I spoke with her today, she's sad. She's sad that the fact that she wore a skirt with boots somehow is being used to undermine what she does professionally. And what she does professionally is exceptional, and it is unfortunate.
Look, I'm going to say something, and I know I'll be criticized, but you and I talked about this earlier. I think you have to dress to some degree appropriately. You would not go to your child's PTA meeting wearing hot pants, but you would at home. Maybe you would.
But I wear short. I mean, I have a skirt that's semi-short today, and I think it's...
And there are certain times when you go to the office or something where you dress a different way. I think if there is a sensitivity, and there is, I mean, I said I'm going to be killed for this.
Entertainment, Barbara. She's also
she's a journalist. She's working as a reporter.
Entertainer as well.
Well,
I mean, this is a field where we can do this.
If it's something that's sensitive, if you've already been criticized for it, if it's making the players uncomfortable...
I don't think it's making those players uncomfortable at all. One man was criticizing. Does that mean she's got to change everything about her?
If it's one man, no.
Let me ask this question. Let me ask this question.
It had to have been a bigger discussion.
Did she... Well... He got suspended, but now let's sort of put it. Remember that beautiful Brazilian sportscaster?
She wore the really tight jeans.
She wore the very tight jeans and the very short skirt, and she said, "Listen, I'm used to the guys talking to me a certain way." And we sat and we said, "Well, maybe they need to sort of figure out a different way to treat you." Now, is it appropriate to go into a locker room in a miniskirt and tall boots?
That's what I'm suggesting.
So that's what I think.
It's funny when you look at her. When you look at her with that outfit, the one that they just showed, I think a lot of people. Well, it's very sexy. That is a very sexy outfit. It's a very short dress.
She's a gorgeous woman.
She's a gorgeous woman. But I'm saying you already, and you're around men who are visual anyway. They're going to appreciate that. I don't know if you can get upset when people make a comment.
Because she's attractive? Let's say she was, not attractive. Would that mean that she could dress like that? I don't understand.
I think that having this discussion actually sets women back, and I think questioning what she wears as she does her job quite well, when it indeed isn't even inappropriate. And this is a mom of 3 girls. She's written books on self-confidence and esteem for women.
Still is.
She's a believer in authenticity.
I agree. She's wonderful, wonderful. But if you are going to a job and it is a serious business meeting, you hope that you will dress appropriately. If she wants to dress like that, fine. But then if there's criticism...
She's good looking, there's no doubt.
Doesn't mean she's not good at what she does.
A lot of times during the 60s and 70s, people dressed crazy, and we were all criticized. Our hair was long, everything else. People dress the way they dress. And I say leave her alone.
You know? Yeah. Well, I think that's great. And I say leave her alone, too. I like Hannah. You know.
She's good at what she does.
And I'm going to wear... No, I have my segue.
Okay, segue.
Thank you. I like Hannah, and I bet Hannah really likes Toy Story 3. Because I had a great time lending my voice to Disney's Toy Story 3, which has just come out on DVD. And members of the audience are going home with Bobby. Yes. And I just want to point out, right here, this is me. I am the octopus. So that's me. When we come back, it'll be speaking of octopuses and all kinds of other stuff, because it's election day, and GMA's George Stephanopoulos is here with us. We'll be right back.
As soon as this program is over, if you haven't voted, get out and vote, because the political landscape could change once the voters have been counted. So here with Election Day Roundup is ABC's chief political correspondent and anchor of Good Morning America, who's going to get no sleep, George Stephanopoulos. Welcome, George.
I have my ID.
Okay. So, you know, some say the Republicans are going to take over the House, but they're not going to, the Democrats are going to retain the Senate.
Maybe.
At this point, what do we know and what difference?
Well, we don't know anything. We
Right.
know people
Okay,
are
so
voting.
good night.
A lot of people, exactly. If you made me bet, I would say Democrats are likely to lose the House. We'll probably hold the Senate by 1 or 2
What should we
senators.
be looking for that's going to make a difference?
A couple things early on in the evening, like right at 7:30, West Virginia, there's this Governor Joe Manchin, who's very popular in the state, but President Obama is very unpopular. If he wins, he's a Democrat. It's going to be pretty hard, if not impossible, for the Republicans to win in the Senate. Real early at 7 o'clock, Indiana. There's a lot of Democratic House members up. If the Democrats lose 2 out of 3 tough races there early in the evening, they're going to lose the House.
Let me ask a question, and then I'll turn it over. Suppose the Republicans take over the House and the Senate stays Democratic. What does it mean for all of us? Well, you know, why should I care? What does it mean?
Well, it depends on what you care about. What it's likely to mean is, and some people think this is a very good thing, that Washington won't be doing much for the next 2 years because of the division, that the Democrats won't have the votes to get through anything that they want, and the Republicans won't have the votes to get through what they want because President Obama has the veto pen.
Good thing
now,
or
that
bad
could be,
thing?
well, it depends on what you're for. I mean, they're going to have to do something on taxes. One thing that everybody here should care about, if Congress doesn't act on taxes in the next 8 weeks, everyone's taxes are going up. Right. Every single person in the country, if they don't act.
Everyone's taxes will what?
Will go up.
Will go up, which was not promised.
Well, no, wait, don't you think that Obama might be happy if they lose the House? I mean, then they'll stop blaming the Democrats for everything the Republicans did.
It shares the blame a little bit, and that certainly worked for Bill Clinton back in 1995 and 1996. On the other hand, if the Republicans take over the Senate and the House, they have committees, they have subpoena power. They can investigate him for everything.
Well, that's not very patriotic to gridlock the country like that.
I'm not advocating.
I don't think Americans are going to like that one bit.
But I think
that's something
Americans
they might
want
have to worry about.
balance of power.
So,
what about... Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say a lot of what happens today depends on these big 3 states, which is Washington, California, West Virginia. How come these are so important?
Well, they're big states, first of all, except West Virginia's small. But again, if you're looking at the Senate, the Republicans have to win 2 out of 3 of those states to be able to take control. The other reason California is important, you saw something new there this year around. You saw 2 former women CEOs, both running for office, Senate and governor. Meg Whitman, it's not being shown there, that's the Barbara Boxer Carly Fiorina race. That's the Senate. But in governor, Meg Whitman spent over $160 million trying to become governor. It looks like she's not going to be successful. Boy, did she spend a lot.
She could have bailed out the state half the time with that money.
Can she get that back on her tax return?
No way. It's gone.
I want to talk about Nevada. A lot of people have their eyes focused on this race, right? I mean, Democratic Majority Leader Harry Reid is in jeopardy of losing his spot to Tea Party favorite Sharon Angle. Been a little bit of controversy surrounding the ads going back and forth. Give us a little perspective right now on what this really means should he lose.
This is huge for a couple of reasons. One, because Harry Reid is the Democratic leader in the Senate. And for the Democrats to lose their leader would be a very big deal. Secondly, because Sharon Engel went up against the Republican establishment as a Tea Party favorite, took them on, won. And she's going to be someone who, in Washington, will be actually hard, I think, for Republican leaders to control.
Does this affect, if the Tea Party candidates that Sarah Palin backed don't get in, is this a setback for Sarah Palin, or doesn't it? So that's something for us to kind of look at.
It's something to look at. We're going to be looking at it tonight when we cover this. Of all of her candidates that she backed, how many won, how many lost? She's having a hard time up in Alaska right now. The candidate she backed, Joe Miller, seems to be falling, although, you know, we'll find out for sure in a little bit.
On one of the shows I saw, she said she'll run for president in 2012 if no one else does.
What does that mean?
She doing us a favor? I mean, is there no one else in the country who's going to run? I mean, come on.
You know,
no one else?
I would have thought, and I guess I still believe she's not going to run, but if you would have asked me a year ago, I'd have said there's no way, no how, never, ever going to happen. I think she's looking at it very, very seriously.
So this could have a big effect, whether these people she backed.
Oh, absolutely.
She could run on a third-party ticket.
No, she would run as a Republican. She could win the
Republican elite is going to back her up. Karl Rove calls him.
Some of them are. They're trying to knock her out, but actually, I had Michael Steele, the Republican Party chairman, on the other day, who pushed back against all these Republicans who are taking her on.
He's not popular either.
Can I ask one quick question? Christine McDonald, who's become a national figure in Delaware.
O'Donnell.
What did I say?
McDonald.
O'Donnell. Okay, so I'm trying to talk fast because I got 30 seconds. Okay. Has she helped or hurt the Tea Party?
Oh, hurt. And she's not going to win. And she actually hurt the Republicans a lot. That was a seat where the Republican, not the guy who was the front runner, Mike Castle, was going to win the seat for the Republicans. She beats him in the primary, and the Democrat is likely to win going away. It's a big
Yeah,
switch.
but she could be a national figure, couldn't she?
No, I think she'll fizzle, right?
I don't know. I'll bet you she gets a TV contract somewhere.
That's
exactly right.
There's so much negative footage on her out of Bill Maher's show. It's not going to work.
And that commercial's going to live forever.
I'm not a witch.
I'm not a witch. Didn't help. Well, it will be interesting to watch, and we're going to start watching you and Diane Sawyer at 9:30 tonight on ABC's Election Night coverage.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and we'll see.
See you soon.
We'll know a lot more tomorrow. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
If there are kids around, please get them out of the room, because last week's private practice ended with such a shocking, graphic cliffhanger. Fans cannot stop talking about it. Take a look. We're getting a sneak peek at what happens on this week's episode. But first, please welcome the woman who plays Dr. Charlotte King, KaDee Strickland. Sorry, Bill.
Oh, thank you so much. You know I'm a sweet girl. Thank you so much.
You're looking much better.
I know, I try. I can't believe it. See you later.
Oh, my God.
Look at you. It's a little better.
You two know each other.
Yes.
Well, let's lighten it up let's lighten it up a little bit.
Little history. Little history lesson.
So you both know Whoopi and I. We worked together on a show called Wedding Bells. You got some little memories of that.
I did. I remember in particular, my husband and I were discussing this because I was so happy to be coming out. I had this wonderful scene in a closet with Sherry and her girls and myself, and the closet was about this big. So there wasn't a lot of movement going on, but we sure did have a good time. I loved working with you. She was a lot like Charlotte, your character.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
That's us.
I thought that was Angelina Jolie before.
She's so beautiful, KaDee
Wow,
is.
I'll take that.
And then
You're
you
just
have
as pretty as she is,
Oh,
my dear.
bless. Thank
she
you.
is KaDee is so beautiful. You have history with Whoopi.
Thank you. I do.
Yeah, you
and
worked
Angelina Jolie. That's
And on Girl Interrupted, you guys worked together.
We did. I was in college,
And you said
that
that
was one of my first jobs.
You did say
Yeah.
that Whoopi had a huge impact on your career.
Well, you did for a number of reasons. Because when I was a little girl growing up on a farm, my cousins and I used to reenact The Color Purple because we were so in love with that movie. And I mean, it was a huge influence on me just in storytelling and your light that you are in your art. And I'm thrilled you're back on camera.
Thank you.
Not just in this forum.
Yes. Really.
Well, we're also thrilled that she's on camera in this form.
Yeah, I am too.
So let's talk about the show last night. I mean, it was a fantastic performance, I thought.
Absolutely. Oh, you saw it last night.
I did. I mean, we got a screener. You guys have to wait.
Yeah.
Sorry. But, I mean, you basically, I don't want to give everything away, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you feel like giving away?
Well, as you saw, Charlotte is attacked in her workplace, which I think is wonderful for a number of reasons. When Shonda Rhimes, the show's creator, when she presented me with the fact that this was going to happen, I was absolutely thrilled and honored because I understood immediately the impact it could have for survivors and people coming forward. And so when she talked about this, I thought, yeah, let's go for it. And basically, you see Charlotte, who's a woman who's engaged in a wonderful relationship, who not only runs the hospital as chief of staff, but she's also a sexologist in the practice, has the world by the tail. And I think what's so effective about this is you look at the fact that 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men...
Let me explain something, because we're a little ahead of things, and I want to show a clip.
Sure.
She was not just, we will find out, was not just attacked. It was beyond that. She was raped.
She was sexually assaulted.
So we have a little, and that changes the whole scene. We have a little. This is what you're going to be seeing, but here's a little clip.
Underwear?
What?
I have a dress, a bra, 2 shoes, but there's no underwear.
Oh. I don't wear underwear. They just get in the way.
She doesn't. I think it's gross, but to each his own, right? I guess. You'll need the HIV cocktail, the morning after pill, STD prophylaxis, and a pelvic. Right?
Right.
Okay, she does not go along with that. She does not want the rape kit. She does not want to tell people that she's been raped.
She doesn't want to admit that this has happened to her, which is part of the beauty of what Shonda wrote. And I think it's a very truthful... The thing that makes me so proud of it is I believe it's a very truthful account. And I think so many people struggle with this, and some don't come forward, you know, for a long time. But there is help and there is hope. And I think there's so much of that conveyed in the way Shonda has orchestrated the rest of the season, and I think that I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Now, you work with a lot of rape victims. Were you at all nervous that they would see this, that it would affect them in a negative way if they saw?
No, I mean, the thing that I learned the most, I worked with RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network, very closely. They contacted survivors. They put me in touch with them that were survivors of very brutal attacks, which is what I went through here. And the thing that is so wonderful, and you understand, is these people want their stories told. Survivors need to see this lived out and played out in a truthful way. And I think when you work as closely as we did with RAINN, there's no way to avoid getting the cold, hard truth and to work from that place. And that was very, very important to us. And, you know, the thing is, those women, Joni Stewart and Marnie Goodfriend, that I worked with directly through the organization, are the bravest human beings. They have wonderful lives, families, great careers. I mean, these girls have it together, and that can happen. And I think that's what's amazing.
Thank you so much for coming by. It's such a great message. We're glad that you're telling this story. Private Practice airs Thursday nights at 10 p.m. right here on ABC. We'll be right back.
Have a great day, everyone. Take a little time to enjoy the view and to vote.
Right.